All right, let's unpack this. It is Tuesday, February 10th, 2026. And before we even touch the source material today, I have to say, if you're feeling a little breathless trying to keep up, you are definitely not alone. I was just looking at my calendar, and the tools I used 6 months ago already collecting dust.
It's relentless, isn't it?
It is. But look, we've got a lifeline for you. This deep dive is brought to you by our friends at AI Opportune.
That's right. And frankly, in this landscape, you really do need a navigator. You can't just, scroll through tech news and hope it all sinks in. AI Opportune is that go-to resource for weekly insights, for practical strategies, and really for the real-world stuff you need to stay ahead.
It's basically the cheat sheet for staying competitive. So if you haven't already, you should really subscribe to AI Opportune. Best way to make sure you're not just watching the wave, but actually riding it. But okay, let's get into the thick of it. It's 2026. The days of just playing around with chatbots, that is ancient history.
The whole, wow, it wrote a poem about my dog phase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. We have entered what our sources are calling the Agentic Era. Now, that sounds like a sci-fi movie title, but it's actually your Monday morning reality. We're looking at a world where, get this, 88% of organizations are using AI.
88. That's from McKinsey's State of AI report. It's not a fringe thing anymore.
Not at all. So the central question we're asking you today is this. Are you actually fluent, or are you just literate?
And that is a vital distinction. It's really the mission of this deep dive. We're unpacking a source titled Final Draft AI Fluency, which is basically a strategic guide for right now for 2026. And the headline is pretty stark. AI fluency is no longer a nice to have. It's not a bonus skill for your CV.
Right. It's not next to proficient in Excel.
No. It is a baseline requirement.
A baseline. But let's be real for a second. Every year there's a new baseline. First was coding, then data science, now this. Is this actually different, or is it just the corporate buzzword of the month?
That's a fair question. I get the skepticism. But the data suggests this is structural, not trendy. And we aren't just talking about coding here. That's a huge misconception we need to clear up right away. You don't need to know Python.
Okay, good.
We are talking about being the bridge. The bridge between human judgment and machine precision.
The bridge between human judgment and machine precision. That sounds expensive.
It is. Or, well, it pays well.
Right. Let's talk money, because that gets everyone's attention. Our source highlights a statistic from PwC's 2025 jobs barometer that honestly made me stop and reread it. Workers with AI skills, they're commanding an average wage premium of 56%.
56.
56%. I mean...
It's a massive gap.
But hold on. A 56% premium, that sounds a little like a bubble. Are we sure that's sustainable, or is that just companies panic hiring because they don't want to get left behind? Like the .com boom where you could get a job by just saying HTML.
I mean, there's certainly some of that panic buying of talent, sure. But if you look at why that premium exists, it's not just about knowing the tools. It's about leverage. If one employee can use agentic workflows to do the work of 3 people, well, paying them 50% more is still a bargain for the company.
So it's an efficiency dividend.
Exactly. The market is paying for the ability to execute, not just the knowledge. But it cuts both ways. That premium implies that those without the skills are becoming, well, significantly less valuable.
It's creating a 2-tier workforce.
It is.
Which brings us back to that term, the Agentic Era. What does that actually mean in 2026? Because to me, it sounds like the AI has its own agency, like it's making its own decisions.
That is exactly what it means within certain boundaries. We've moved beyond the prompt era, 2024 style. You type, write an email, it writes an email, input, output.
Right.
In the agentic era, we are dealing with autonomous AI agents. These are systems that can plan and execute multi-step workflows to achieve a goal.
Okay, give me the 2026 version of that. Because write an email does not justify a 56% raise.
No, it doesn't. Think about supply chain management. A disruption happens, a ship gets stuck. The human manager has to notice, look up inventory, call suppliers, check the budget, write a contract.
A full day's work, maybe more.
At least. An agentic workflow is different. You tell the agent, monitor our logistics for delays and mitigate the impact on Q3. The agent sees the ship is stuck. It automatically checks your inventory. It identifies a shortage. It then queries a database of pre-approved suppliers, negotiates a provisional order based on your budget, drafts the contract, and then, Only then does it ping you.
It pings you to say, hey, I fixed it.
It pings you to say, I have a solution ready. Here's the contract. Here's a cost. Do you approve?
Wow, so it did the analysis, the strategy, and the admin. I just do the sign-off.
Correct. It planned the steps. That's agency.
That is terrifyingly efficient.
Yeah.
I can see why the source presents this as an ultimatum. It says a workforce is either AI fluent and can govern these agents, or it becomes an operational bottleneck.
That's the reality. If you don't know how to direct that agent, or you insist on doing things manually because you don't trust the tool, you're the clog in the pipe.
Nobody wants to be the clog. Okay, so how do we actually do this? The source breaks AI fluency into 3 pillars. This feels like the curriculum for keeping your job. Pillar number 1, directing autonomous AI agents.
Right. And notice the word directing. It's about management, not creation.
So everyone's a middle manager now, even if you don't have human reports.
In a sense, yes. You're managing a system. This is what this source calls collaborative intelligence. It's not just about pushing a button. It's about defining the outcome clearly enough that an agent can execute it without going off the rails.
Give me an example of going off the rails.
Okay, that's supply chain example. If you didn't tell the agent to prioritize, say, approved suppliers with fair labor practices, it might just pick the cheapest option to save a buck. Suddenly you've got a PR crisis.
So the AI is like a really smart intern who takes things very, very literally.
Precisely. Vague direction, bad business outcome. You have to understand the what, even if you aren't doing the how.
That makes sense. Okay, pillar number 2. I love the name of this one. Probabilistic auditing. Now, let's be honest, that sounds like something an accountant made up to charge more by the hour. What is it in plain English?
It does sound technical, but it's the most critical shift in mindset. It's the move from being a creator to being an editor-in-chief.
Editor-in-chief, I like that.
Here's the thing. AI models, even these advanced agents, are probabilistic. They don't deal in absolute truth. They deal in what's likely to be the right answer.
Which means they can still lie to you.
Or hallucinate. They confidently state things that aren't true because the pattern just looks right to them. Probabilistic auditing is the skill of smelling a rat.
But isn't that inefficient? If I have to double-check the agent's work, why even use it?
Because checking is faster than doing from scratch. But, and this is the fluency part, you have to know how to check. You can't just rubber stamp it. You look at that contract and ask, does this price make sense historically? Is this delivery timeline even physically possible?
So you still need the subject matter expertise to catch the machine in a mistake.
Exactly. If you blindly trust the machine, you aren't fluent. You're negligent.
Which leads us perfectly to pillar number 3, where you don't just get fired, you get sued. Legal and ethical governance.
This is where the rubber really meets the road.
The source mentions the EU AI Act, specifically Article 4. Now, normally when I hear EU regulation, I kind of tune out and assume the legal department's on it.
And that is the dangerous assumption to make in 2026. Article 4 actually mandates that organizations ensure their staff have sufficient AI literacy to mitigate operational risks.
Wait, the law says the staff needs to be literate, not just the company.
Yes. It's not about a policy document in a drawer. The people using the tools need to understand the boundaries.
So if I'm using an agent to, I don't know, screen resumes.
You need to know if that agent is introducing bias. You need to know if the data you're feeding it violates privacy laws. Governance isn't just for the lawyers anymore. If you're directing the agent, you're holding the steering wheel.
That really raises the stakes. It's not just, did I do a good job? It's, did I break the law?
And the AI did it is not a defense.
Okay, so we've got the 3 pillars: directing, auditing, and governance. But let's ground this. I want to see the so what for different industries. The source has some fascinating benchmarks.
It does. Fluency looks totally different depending on where you sit.
Let's take finance versus healthcare. In finance, there's a 72% integration rate, which leads to a 30% reduction in fraud detection cycles.
Right. In finance, fluency is about speed. The agent flags a transaction, but the human auditor has to make the final call. It's a money laundering or just a weird vacation purchase. Fluency there is high-speed, high-stakes decision-making.
Now contrast that with healthcare, 69% integration. But the stat isn't about profit. It says AI-fluent clinicians report 40% less documentation burnout.
This is the human benefit. Fluency in healthcare doesn't mean the AI diagnoses the patient. It means the AI listens to the consultation, structures the medical note, codes the billing, and maybe checks for drug interactions in real time.
So the doctor can actually look at the patient instead of the keyboard.
Exactly. But think about the probabilistic auditing here. If the AI hallucinates a drug interaction, the doctor needs to know enough to say, no, that's wrong. The stakes are life and death.
It's interesting. In finance, a mistake costs money. In healthcare, it can cost a life. But in both, the human is the safety valve.
The human in the loop. That's the key term.
There's also a note here for legal and compliance with a very specific deadline, August 2026.
Circle that date on your calendar. That's when enforcement of the EU AI Act really tightens. At that point, Fluency stops being a productivity hack and becomes a legal necessity.
That is right around the corner. So let's pivot to the people in charge. If you're a leader listening to this, what are you supposed to do? The source calls AI illiteracy a top-tier business liability.
Which is corporate speak for you're going to crash the company. It's a harsh assessment, but it's accurate. And right now, leaders have a massive problem called shadow AI.
Shadow AI. Sounds like a spy novel. I'm guessing it just means Dave in accounting is using a public chatbot on his phone because the company firewall blocks it.
Exactly. And Dave is trying to be productive. He's not malicious, but he's pasting sensitive financial data into a public model to do it.
So the gut instinct is to just lock it all down, ban everything.
And that is the wrong instinct. If you ban it, the shadow just grows darker. People will find a way. The imperative for leaders is to bring this into the light. Formalize AI governance. Provide approved, secure tools so Dave can do his job safely.
So don't fight the shadow, just turn on the lights.
Better yet, buy Dave the right light bulb. Give him the enterprise tools.
That leads to the second imperative, redesigning roles. The source mentions AI workflow orchestrators and integration specialists.
Yeah, this connects to the World Economic Forum's reporting. We need to stop thinking about jobs as static lists of tasks. We need people whose entire job it is to weave these AI agents into the fabric of the company. For many, the job is managing the AI.
And the third imperative is culture over models. This one surprises me because everyone loves to talk about the tech specs. Who has the biggest model, the fastest inference?
But the hardware isn't the real differentiator anymore. Everyone has access to basically the same powerful models. The source is clear. The organizations seeing the biggest ROI are the ones prioritizing continuous education and upskilling.
So buying the Ferrari doesn't matter if you don't send your driver to racing school.
That's a perfect analogy. You can have the most advanced agent in the world, but if your people are scared of it or don't know how to audit it, it's a wasted investment.
It always comes back to the human element, doesn't it?
Every single time. The tech is just the lever. You still need a hand to pull it.
So let's wrap this up. We've covered the wage premium, that 56%. We've covered the agentic era and the shift from chatting to directing. We've gone through the pillars: directing, auditing, and governance.
It's a comprehensive picture of a very different workplace.
If we boil it all down, the main takeaway for me is that AI fluency in 2026 really is that bridge between our judgment and the machine's precision. But I want to leave the listener with one final thought.
Go for it.
The source says the pivotal question isn't whether AI will impact your industry. That ship sailed 2 years ago. The real question is whether you have built the human foundation to govern it. So ask yourself this. In your own workflow, right now, are you the editor-in-chief?
Are you the one calling the shots? Or are you the one being edited out?
Oof, that's the question. Are you the driver or just a passenger in a car that's driving itself?
It's a tough question, but better to ask it now than in August when those laws kick in.
Exactly. And hey, to help you answer that question and stay in the driver's seat, remember you need the right resources. You can't do this alone.
Absolutely not. This landscape changes weekly. You need a signal in all the noise.
And that is why we partnered with AI Opportune for this deep dive. If you want those weekly insights and strategies, make sure you subscribe. It's the best way to keep your fluency sharp and your value high.
Highly recommended.
That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening. Keep auditing those agents, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Goodbye.